And so what we would then say is, and I need to put a question mark here, right, is that from the capitalist perspective, religion, right, under capitalism, comes to play an accommodating role in the following kinds of way. We take all of the members of the proletariat and we encourage them to be religious. We herd as many of them as we possibly can into church on Sunday. They've been working hard all week for minimum wages in subpar conditions, having to do what the boss tells them. They feel a certain amount of resentment. They might feel a certain amount of anxiety. Perhaps as democracy's institutions are progressing, perhaps as union institutions are progressing, their class consciousness is emerging, and so they're feeling a certain amount of anger, right, at their oppression, right, in their situation. But what is the central message, right, that they hear when they show up in church, right, on Sunday mornings, as the preacher, right, or the priest gets up and delivers the sermon to them? Well, they hear a large number of things, but certainly a large subset of those number of things has to do with certain economic, right, messages that are built into the Christian religion. Right, they will be told, for example, that blessed are the meek, right? Blessed are the poor. Now, what's the point of herding large numbers of meek people and poor people into a church and telling them that they are the blessed people? Well, the point has to be to give some sort of consolation to them, right, for their condition. They certainly don't feel like they're blessed. As far as they're concerned, their earthly existence is one of working really hard in subhuman conditions for subpar wages through an SOB, right, boss, and they don't see any hope of that improving in their lives or in the lives of their children. And so what religion does then is telling them that they are blessed, not in the here and now, but that they will nonetheless get their rewards in the afterlife, right, when they go to heaven. Now, who really believes that, right, the Marxists will say? And could this not simply be a calculated political and economic move to take the unrest of the masses and use religion as a way of mollifying the masses, keeping the masses in their place? Because to the extent that the masses believe that there is a heaven and that the mark of their being worthy of getting into heaven is the extent to which they suffer and do their duty while they're here on earth, then that is going to lead them, when they leave church, not to be so revolutionary, not to be upset. They'll have a consolation prize. That'll get them through another week, and so forth. And of course, they hear not only blessed are the meek, they also hear woe to them that are rich. So to the extent that while they feel a certain amount of resentment to those capitalists who are living the good life, right, economically speaking, the same sermon tells them that those rich people, right, are going to burn in hell. It will be easier for a camel, rather, to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to get into heaven. Now, a variety of interpretations of that, but one fairly straightforward interpretation that's prevalent is to say camels don't pass through the eyes of needles, rich men therefore don't get into heaven. So if you are interested in your soul, your immortal soul, and what's going to happen to you in the afterlife, you better not be interested in becoming a rich kind of person. In fact, instead of feeling envious toward the rich people who are seemingly living the good life, you should actually feel pity for them because they're going to burn in hell. The love of money is the root of all evil, right? So to the extent that you feel desperate in your economic circumstances and you really feel that you want to have a better life for yourself economically, be aware that that's to go down the wrong road. You shouldn't be thinking in those terms, right? So stay away from monetary interests and so forth. To the extent that you feel oppressed, right, repressed, that various kinds of injustices are done to you by the nature of an economic system that is cruelly, right, oppressing you, in particular individuals, right, who are doing the same sort of thing, rather than rising up, overthrowing them, giving them grief, giving them a hard time, threatening any sort of material damage, what you should be doing is turning the other cheek, forgiving, right, those who trespass, right, against you. Now the point then is, right, from the Marxist perspective, that again what we have is religion serving the interests, right, of the dominant economic structure, right, that happens to be in place. In this case here, the religious messages that they're singling out that have an economic component all have a particular focus in mind, a particular tactical purpose, right, in mind. That is, on the one hand, to give a consolation prize, right, an illusory, right, consolation prize to those who are on the short end of the economic stick. It's to give them a sense that their envy, right, is misplaced and should be otherwise directed, that it's proper for them and it's noble for them to accept their suffering and to forgive those who seem to be getting better at them. And so, of course, what they are then is going to do, right, during the whole of their lives, to the extent that they believe in this religious system, is be sheep-like. They will not be revolutionary. They will not rise up and demand, right, what is rightfully theirs against this oppressive economic system.